Hold on just a moment. Before you instinctively shoo your feline companion from your most beloved chair once more, perhaps it would be wise to pause and consider the situation from their unique perspective. For you, it represents reclaiming your rightfully earned spot following a lengthy and arduous day. But for your cat, such an action might feel akin to an act of inexplicable betrayal. Does such a description appear somewhat dramatic? It is possible. However, this subtle recurring struggle for territory, which plays out daily in literally millions of living rooms across the globe, is far more profound than merely a charming domestic scene. It represents a direct confrontation between two distinct civilizations, the human and the feline, each functioning according to its own deeply ingrained set of principles and understandings. We humans tend to believe we are simply requesting them to shift their position slightly. They, conversely, perceive the most significant, the most trustworthy ally within their existence, their very source of comforting warmth, essential sustenance, and unwavering security, as abruptly transforming into a potential threat, forcibly displacing them from their carefully established island of stability. Within this invisible conflict, far more hangs in the balance than simply the right to occupy a soft and cozy blanket. What truly stands on the line is trust itself. A delicate and fragile currency that is all too easily squandered and proves to be nearly impossible to fully regain. Therefore, what truly transpires within the inner workings of a cat's mind when we disrupt their carefully maintained peace? Let us delve into the reasons why an action that seems entirely harmless to us can, in fact, permanently damage the precious bond you share with your cherished pet. To truly comprehend feline logic, it becomes necessary to abandon distinctly human concepts such as ownership or possession. When a cat gracefully leaps onto your cherished sofa, it is not attempting to claim it as its own. Rather, it is engaging in something far more fundamentally crucial, expanding the boundaries of its perceived security map. Imagine, if you will, a world where you navigate primarily through the sense of scent, rather than the sense of sight. For a cat, your entire home is an intricate, multi-layered map meticulously constructed from a complex tapestry of aromas. And the most critically important markers upon that map are, undoubtedly, its own unique scent markers. When a cat lovingly rubs its cheeks or flanks against a table leg, the corner of the sofa, or even against your very legs, it is engaging in far more than mere displays of affection. It is actively engaged in marking its territory. Special glands located on their face, paws, and tail meticulously secrete pheromones, distinctive chemical signatures that remain entirely invisible to our human senses but are as clear as crystal to them. Each of these scent markings serves as a vital message left for itself: I was present here. It is safe here. This is undeniably my territory. These comforting scents collectively create a protective bubble of confidence and security. The sofa, the armchair, the rug, these are not merely inanimate pieces of furniture. They represent strategic outposts, fortified strongholds thoroughly infused with its personal scent of tranquility and safety. Now, envision this scenario: you reach down, pick up your beloved cat, and summarily banish it from its cherished safe island. Within its world, this action is precisely equivalent to someone suddenly erasing crucial landmarks from your personal navigation map while you are standing in the midst of an unfamiliar and potentially dangerous city. You are not simply requesting it to move its position, you are actively destroying its deeply ingrained sense of stability and predictability. You are not merely invading its property, but rather its intricately designed personal security system, thereby causing the animal to feel profoundly vulnerable within a place where it should rightfully feel protected and secure. If the comfortable armchair serves as the very center of a safe and secure territory, then the doorway of a room represents its carefully guarded boundary, its metaphorical customs checkpoint. And here, yet another drama of misunderstanding frequently unfolds. You have likely experienced this particular behavior. A cat approaches a doorway and then freezes completely. It simply stands or sits, gazing thoughtfully into the void, effectively blocking your intended passage. The immediate thought that typically crosses a human's mind is something along the lines of, "It's spacing out again. Did it somehow forget where it was intending to go? Or is it perhaps simply engaging in this behavior to intentionally annoy me?" However, there is absolutely no laziness or spite involved in this behavior. What we are actually witnessing is a highly trained security specialist diligently at work. For a cat, a doorway represents far more than merely a transition from one familiar room to another. It serves as a critical boundary between familiar, vetted territory and a completely new space that requires thorough assessment and careful evaluation. When the cat pauses at the doorway, it is not merely hesitating, it is initiating a complex and vital scanning process. Those seemingly nonchalant ears act like sophisticated radar equipment, meticulously picking up the slightest rustle, the faintest vibration, emanating from within the confines of the new room. Its delicate nose diligently analyzes the subtle air currents, searching for any unfamiliar or potentially alarming sense that might betray a hidden danger. Its keen eyes, sharp and observant, carefully evaluate the surrounding environment, methodically searching for any sign of movement and identifying potential hiding places, both for itself and for any unforeseen threat. Essentially, what it is doing is conducting a rapid, comprehensive risk assessment before cautiously venturing into what it perceives as uncharted territory. This is not a mere whim, it is an ancient, deeply ingrained instinct, honed over countless generations, that helped its wild ancestors survive in a harsh and unforgiving world by diligently avoiding encounters with larger, more powerful predators. And what, regrettably, do we humans often do in response to this carefully considered behavior? We impatiently try to nudge the creature forward with our foot, or perhaps even attempt to physically push it through the doorway, thereby abruptly and disrespectfully disrupting this sacred ritual of assessment. For the cat, this insensitive action is akin to someone rudely shoving a highly trained bomb disposal expert, who is meticulously listening for the telltale ticking of a hidden mechanism, forward with the dismissive words, "Just go already." We are not simply inconveniencing it with our impatience, we are forcibly pushing it into a space that its highly attuned brain has not yet had the opportunity to thoroughly scan and mark as safe, and in doing so, we ourselves become a source of stress, anxiety, and unpredictability. Now that we have a better understanding of the fact that the sofa is, in essence, a security map for the cat, and the doorway serves as a crucial border patrol checkpoint, let us consider the implications of putting these two elements together. What, precisely, goes on in a cat's complex and sensitive mind when we, its primary benefactor, the provider of its food and shelter, repeatedly violate these invisible, yet critically important, rules? Cats, unlike humans, do not think in terms of abstract morality. They have no innate concept of fairness or right. Their world is built on a simpler, more fundamental, and arguably more reliable principle: consistency and predictability. For the domestic cat, the owner is the very center of its universe, the axis around which its entire existence revolves. It is the being that is most closely associated with the most positive and essential things in its life: food, warmth, safety, and affection. A human, in the cat's perception, is a living, breathing beacon that constantly signals that everything is okay, that the world is stable and secure. And now, tragically, this very beacon begins to behave irrationally, exhibiting actions that are inconsistent and alarming. The being that should be its protector, its source of comfort and security, inexplicably becomes a source of threat and anxiety. It rudely kicks the cat off its carefully marked, safe territory, the sofa. It forcibly pushes it beyond unassessed, potentially dangerous boundaries, the doorway. In the realm of feline logic, this represents a catastrophic system failure. The main guarantor of stability, the one being it has learned to rely on implicitly, suddenly becomes unpredictable, erratic, and untrustworthy. Today, the human is lovingly petting it. Tomorrow, it is unceremoniously displacing it from its favorite spot. Today, it is generously feeding it. Tomorrow, it is causing it undue stress and anxiety. This alarming inconsistency undermines the very foundation of basic trust. The animal no longer understands what to expect from us, and its sense of security is shattered. This is what we, in our human language, might loosely translate as betrayal. The cat does not consciously think, "My owner is bad." Instead, it instinctively thinks, "The world around me has suddenly become chaotic and dangerous, and the source of this danger is the very one I trusted most implicitly." As a direct result of this perceived betrayal, the cat might begin to avoid us, seeking refuge in hidden corners of the house, exhibiting uncharacteristic aggression, or displaying other signs of anxiety and distress. It is not seeking revenge for the perceived injustice, it is simply trying to survive in a world that has suddenly ceased to be understandable and safe for it. So, we have firmly established that using force or coercion in our interactions with our feline companions inevitably destroys trust and creates anxiety. But what then do you do if you genuinely and urgently need to sit in your favorite chair, which is currently occupied by your cat? The answer is surprisingly simple. Instead of resorting to the language of force, we need to master the far more effective language of feline diplomacy. Your ultimate goal is not to drive the animal away from the desired spot, but rather to skillfully and subtly make it want to leave on its own accord, and ideally to do so happily and without resentment. This is, in fact, easier than it might initially sound. Here are just a few proven diplomatic techniques that you can employ to achieve this harmonious outcome, an offer they cannot refuse. This is the key, underlying principle. If you absolutely need a specific spot that your cat is currently occupying, Make another spot even more appealing and irresistible. Prepare a well-thought-out plan B in advance. Place a soft, plush blanket that your cat particularly loves on the sofa, but next to your chair, or bring in its favorite cardboard box, a known haven of comfort and security. Then, instead of shooing it away from your chair, gently call it by name and show it the new, carefully prepared spot. You can also use a lure, such as a favorite treat or toy, to further entice it. The message that the cat receives changes dramatically. I'm not being evicted from a comfortable spot against my will. I'm being graciously invited to an even better place, a haven of even greater comfort and security. My human truly cares about my well-being and happiness. Creating a positive ritual. The feline kind exhibit remarkable responsiveness to training methodologies, particularly when such training is predicated upon the principles of positive reinforcement. A crucial aspect of this approach involves the careful development of a conditional signal, meticulously designed to gently encourage the cat to relinquish its current position, perhaps upon a favored armchair. This signal could manifest as a subtle snap of the fingers, or perhaps a softly spoken word or phrase, such as place or even a simple come here. The cardinal rule is unwavering consistency. The chosen signal must remain identical each and every time it is employed. The procedure entails uttering the predetermined signal, followed by a clear indication, such as pointing towards the alternative, more desirable location. The instant the cat demonstrates compliance by moving to the designated spot, it is of paramount importance to reward the behavior immediately. This reward can take the form of effusive praise, gentle petting, or the offering of a palatable treat, thus establishing a positive association. Over a period of time, the animal will invariably begin to connect the specific sound not with the negative connotations of being evicted from its chosen spot, but rather with the anticipation of a pleasant and predictable ritual, culminating in the forthcoming pleasure of the reward. Both of these approaches, though distinct in their execution, ultimately pursue the identical objective: to successfully transform what could potentially devolve into a conflict situation into a constructive and positive interaction. You, the human companion, effectively cease to be perceived as an unpredictable and capricious force of nature in the cat's eyes, instead becoming an understandable, honest, and trustworthy partner, someone with whom a reasonable form of negotiation is always possible. Ultimately, the unassuming story of the armchair is far more than merely a lesson in the intricacies of animal psychology. It functions as a potent and insightful metaphor for the totality of our relationship with the vast world that surrounds us. We, as humans, have become accustomed to conceptualizing ourselves as owners and even masters, not solely within the confines of our own homes, but on the scale of the entire planet itself. We frequently operate and make decisions based primarily, or even exclusively, on our own personal convenience, often proceeding without adequately considering the potential impact of our actions on those who are less powerful and lack the ability to articulate their disagreement or disapproval in human language. The cat, comfortably ensconced in its chosen chair, serves as a small, furry, and ever-present reminder that the world in its vastness and complexity does not exclusively revolve around us, the human species. The act of understanding its often invisible boundaries, respecting its ingrained rituals, and learning to decipher its unique language, constitutes the crucial first step towards a fundamental paradigm shift in our thinking. This shift marks a transition away from the ingrained mindset of an owner, one who believes they possess the unbridled right to do as they please, and towards the more enlightened mindset of a neighbor, a wise, attentive, and profoundly empathetic individual. By consciously learning to negotiate with a cat, engaging in a process of mutual understanding rather than simply issuing commands, we actively cultivate a particular quality that humanity arguably needs more acutely today than ever before, namely, the invaluable ability to genuinely see and comprehend the world through the eyes of another living being. In doing so, we not only evolve into better and more responsible owners to our beloved pets, but we also, and perhaps more importantly, evolve into better and more compassionate people in general. And consequently, our home undergoes a profound transformation, evolving into something far more significant than merely an apartment or a house. It becomes a sanctuary, a space characterized by genuine trust, mutual respect, and unwavering harmony, where both human and feline inhabitants feel not as object and owner, but rather as cherished members of a single interconnected family, coexisting peacefully within a shared, secure, and undeniably happy territory.